The RevOps landscape is about to change. Are you ready? Today, we're sharing our boldest RevOps predictions for 2025. From AI-driven decision-making to disruptions in pipeline management, these are shifts you can't afford to ignore. Let's get into it. All right, everyone. We've seen how much RevOps has changed over the last couple of years. What are your predictions for 2025 for revenue operations?
What I read this morning is while AI will not replace humans, but humans with AI will replace humans without AI. And I'm being cautiously optimistic about AI, but I think we'll must explore, right, how we can use this. Now I'm personally looking into AI apps to use in forecasting, in the pipeline inspection, in the inspections of meetings that are set by our BDR teams, and as well as the data entry. If you think about sales person's day life, right? I feel like they spend half of their day just entering data in Salesforce, and I hear that all over and over again that they're just like the secretary is putting. I want to help them and see how can AI populate all those skills for us just to sympathize with something.
What do you think, Louis?
Oh, look, I should be fired as a RevOps leader for it. Don't say the AI is definitely the top theme of 2025. And I think exactly as Greg and Olga were saying, it's really the how. How are we going to be interpreting it? How are we going to be using it? How are we going to be automating processes? How are we going to be looking at stacks and stacks and stacks of customer data that's been sitting stale for so long? How can we leverage AI to really uncover goodness in there that we can then translate into leads and opportunities and potentially new revenue growth for the organization? So yeah, it's got to be all about AI. But also I think it's the year that AI really becomes real for us in revenue operations. We've been promised so much and so many organizations have said, oh, we got AI, we have this, we have that. Now it's actually starting to get real. Large organizations actually have really good and compelling offerings. Probably too many offerings out there right now for us to sift through, but they're definitely going in a right direction of us really helping to understand what's valuable, what's good, and what's going to provide value back to your organization. So I look forward to that in 2025.
So, what do you think? So, I'm thinking about just revenue operations structures in general in 2025. We know this has changed, and RevOps was like the hot thing I think it was like 2 years ago. Forbes said, this is the hottest role, and there's so many job postings. What do you think, Olga, about revenue operations structures in 2025? How do you see those changing? How do you see them evolving?
All right. Such a great question because it goes back to our fundamental topic of what is RevOps. Every company I talk to, like, okay, what is RevOps for you? 8 out of 10, it's rebranded sales ops. Sometimes there's just like a flavor of analytics. Marketing ops always sits with CMO because CMO will never give away, no control over what is an MQL. Why not? So, and I believe truly RevOps is the entire customer journey. It's, from web submission to your closed one of your new business to upsell to renewals and all of that. That's entire customer journey. We need to follow that through with systems, with processes, etc. The gray horse for me is the customer success operations. The function itself, customer success ops, is still pretty young. Fitting that into the RevOps is even a harder job. So what I'm focusing right now is the same as we do have the sort of handoff between a BDR to a salesperson. We need to ensure optimize it, tighten this handoff between a salesperson to customer success manager or an account manager, right? To tighten those processes and figure out, what exactly happens in there.
I want to touch on something because it's like a trigger word for me. Handoff process. And I think I see you laughing over here, Louis. I think we've all had challenging experience. I'm going to call it challenging experiences with handoff. I know, no, but seriously, when you think about the handoff process, I have a team that I'm working with, and we literally had to have an offsite together to talk about, how are we going to collaborate? How, when does the person from implementations come in? What is their role in the conversation? and they're reporting up to different parts of the organization. So it just requires like so much collaboration. On top of it, we're in different systems.
And we, as RevOps, we can enforce it. But to add to your guys' points, 100%, right? It's one customer. It has its journey.
Absolutely.
And there's one person that oversees it. But what I'm noticing, back to the silos conversation, we have silos in the RevOps teams, right?
100%.
Happened to me recently. My marketing ops team deleted the field, sales ops team got pissed about that, and customer success rolled out some process that blocks the validation for freaking leads. So I'm like, you guys talk to each other. And even if they talk to each other, I don't think there's full understanding of what is the pain point for marketing ops and what they're after versus what is the pain for customer success for they're after. I want my RevOps teams to be this hybrid professionals that would understand that whatever they do on their end of the spectrum might impact their colleagues, right? So what I'm focusing on right now with the teams is training them on the entire 360 view of everything we're doing. They need to be admins in every system we're using. They need to understand lead scoring, attribution calculation, renewals process, comp plans, etc. They don't need to own it, right? But they need to understand what their peers are working on to, again, be able to map the entire process. And that actually, helps breaking the silos org-wide. Any person from any team can come to RevOps team and get their question answered. They should come to any person, right? And that person should be able to cover. So that's another sort of point, having this go-to-market leader and those go-to-market people under that leader that can answer, any process question.
It's funny because I also think it's a mind shift for a revenue operations leader as well. I think in previous organizations, and even to some degree in the organization I'm in right now, I'm that reconciliation point, but I don't expect my teams to have that cross-trained knowledge, which I'm doing an amazing amount of disservice by not actually pushing that. Someone in CS Ops who doesn't understand marketing and marketing automation, well, learn it. Right. Ask questions. We're a part of an organization for a reason. You need to think beyond it. It's not just me and my function. It's actually all of us who are part of revenue operations should have a full handle on every step of that journey. And if you don't, you need to train. You need to put yourself up. You need to be curious and figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be a great collaborator too, because it doesn't always sit in your department.
Absolutely.
So I can, in several roles, not every piece of the buying journey has sat under revenue operations, even though it was referred to as revenue operations. But it's critical to work with these other departments and to influence from whatever level you're at in your organization, revenue operations, even at a VP level. It's really important to be able to have that cross-functional collaboration, because otherwise you're just going to be banging your head against the wall every day. And,
RevOps therapy.
Yes.
Anyone else feel like a counselor half the
Oh
Yeah,
my
exactly.
gosh, for sure.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Understand where you're going.
I know.
Sales did emotionally, it's like you're to blame for everyone else.
Right. Yeah. When it's convenient, though.
Yeah.
Only when it's convenient. Enjoying this episode so far? If so, you'll love the team that brings it all together. Sweetfish is the video podcast agency behind the scenes, partnering with B2B brands to produce shows just like this one. Interested in becoming a co-host of the show next season? Or maybe your team is ready to launch their own podcast? Head to sweetfishmedia.com and schedule a call with someone from their team today. So Sweetfish did some research, and the predictions are that by 2026, 76% of the highest growth companies will adopt a RevOps model. And right now, less than 30% really have a RevOps model adopted. So like a true RevOps model. So, Olga, maybe you can give me some of your thoughts on that.
A lot of companies I talk to, they're like, yeah, we have RevOps.
Right.
My next question is like, what is your RevOps? And then you figure out it's just rebranded sales ops.
Yes.
Right? And it's still little silos, right? As I like to say, alignment is our love language.
Yeah.
So I truly believe it has to be centralized.
Yeah.
I know, it depends, of course, on the size of the organization, where you at, are you growing, are you scaling, are you going through acquisitions? There's just so many open questions. I truly believe in the centralized function, and I truly believe in covering the entire path.
Yeah.
Marketing ops.
Yep.
I'm also going to say something controversial, but I don't believe in dotted lines.
Yes.
I worked in
No.
companies
Agree.
where it was like, you have marketing ops as a dotted line.
Right.
It actually sits with the CMO, but as a dotted line,
Yeah.
no.
Yep.
Sounds great, interesting.
Yeah.
It's a good.
You're important too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like good parenting. I'm going to ask you for your opinion, but do I care about?
No.
And the agenda and the priorities are going to come from someone else, yet the accountability still sits with you and your team.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So no dotted line.
That doesn't work. Yeah, for sure. So I'm curious, just either where you report to now in terms of your RevOps role, or maybe in past roles. So Olga,
I do report to the CEO.
the CEO. Okay.
Our team is different though, because our CEO actually covers the entire go to market. So that is that leader that covers go to market and beyond product as well. I did report to CFOs a couple times, and I was a believer that RevOps should be reporting to CFOs because we're like, well, the Switzerland. We cannot be under sales. We cannot be under marketing. We have to be sort of independent. Where you go to under CFO. That did not work for me. We are too different.
Yeah.
We just we don't match.
Yep.
We speak different languages.
That was the advice.
So we were not match made in heaven. Ops do not understand the struggles of people in finance and the other way around. And moreover, usually we can't help each other.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think, Louis?
No, same. I've reported to 2 CFOs in the past, and I'm with you. I currently report into a chief operating officer. I've previously reported into chief revenue officers. I'm with you. I liked CFO at first, and it really got to the point where you couldn't get through things, and I was still held accountable by sales, by marketing, by CS to get things done. I'm like, well, I'm being deprioritized by our CFO. You need to have that fight, right? Whereas a CRO or COO and other senior executives, it's much easier for them to empathize, and their goals and their objectives are more closely tied to a CRO to what revenue operations is trying to do rather than what finance is trying to accomplish. I've also had finance operations under me in a RevOps function, which actually wasn't so bad, but we still got into nuances around there as well. Do I go for revenue, or am I looking at financial objectives, and where they don't overlap, which one's priority? I'm like, shit, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. And you're asking me to make that call. So, but I'm with you. I think where I am right now under a COO model, I really like. I liked CRO as well. Your model though of a CEO direct report,
Yeah,
is fantastic.
That's like
yeah, Nirvana.
right. How about you, Greg?
Well, yeah, I agree with that. Reporting into the CEO is great if you're on the same level as the other departments that are.
Oh yeah, so you're not like a director, like if you have a C, yeah,
Because
or like chief of staff or
yeah, it's CEO, a CRO, a COO, and then the VP of RevOps reports directly to the CEO, and you're like the board report.
yeah, you're the deck master. You do the PowerPoints. Yeah.
It's all about visibility.
You're like walking into the board meeting and
Yeah.
you shut the door before
Yeah.
you walk in.
Wait, my PowerPoint is there. You have my
That's when you
PowerPoint.
start hiding little Easter eggs in the report that you're like, oh, wait, what? I don't remember that.
If you love what you're hearing so far, we have a teeny tiny request. A quick rating on Spotify can have a huge impact on the show's credibility as a trusted resource in the RevOps community. Spotify is the world's largest podcast platform today, so we could use all the love we can get over there.
I came up on the sales side, and so for me, reporting to the CRO is the most comfortable place at the org for me because I get to be involved in the go-to-market function, but I don't have to be I don't have to be in finance. I can fit into that CRO world very easily. I've served as a CRO, a fractional CRO, a CRO in companies, and so when I'm in that RevOps role reporting up to a CRO, it's the most natural. We're on the same page. Let's go kick butt together. Role first, and I think it's different for everybody, but for me, and that's CRO or the CEO in a smaller company. Yeah, sweet spot.
Well, and I think and that's exactly where I am. So I grew up in sales, like old school selling Yellow Pages advertising back in the day, knocking on doors, getting kicked out of places. Um, but
What are yellow pages?
exactly. I know. So like Gen Z, I'm totally sorry, Gen Z. But yeah, no, seriously, like I run enablement as well. So I think this is another topic for RevOps is enablement under RevOps. Like I feel very
I
strongly
feel very strong
that
has to
enablement has to be, and nobody's going to listen to you if you're trying to run enablement out of a CFO shop. So
should be called revenue.
revenue enablement, yeah.
Absolutely.
So RevOps and enablement or revenue enablement and kind of get away from that because you have to enable.
It's the last mile of what you're trying to build and implement. Yeah.
Exactly. Sprinkle on top.
Absolutely.
Sprinkle on top. I'm rolling out processes every week. I'm optimizing,
Yep.
changing. I'm looking for new solutions, tools, etc. If there is a gap between me and the salesperson, it's not going to be successful. I'm not going to be successful. So I went to have that level.
And enablement for me, when I was in that role and the full-time operator, enablement was how I proved that we were doing. Is so I wanted to be as close to them as possible, because if they were off rope tracking metrics that I knew didn't matter, that was a problem for me, because that's rolling up to the C-suite and they're scrutinizing something that has no impact on actual success as like a failure on the RevOps team. And so you always wanted to be lockstep with enablement, because that's how you actually accomplish things. They were much like RevOps is like the tactical side of the go-to-market engine. Enablement is the tactical side of RevOps, of how you're going to go.
Right.
Well said.
I think that is really well said. The way that you're looking at that, and having this cohesive view. I mean, I know it's the dream, right? And I would definitely, like, I'm with you Greg, on CRO, CEO. But what do you think in terms of the stage of an organization? So in larger organizations that are going to have more C-suite positions, it's a little bit more clear, how that works. So, what are your opinions just in terms of organizational strategy?
Disagree with that. I think in my experience, the larger the organization, the harder it is to implement RevOps, because there's so many, and I don't even want to call them silos. There's just so many pieces that tying it all together is like, how are you going to do that?
All the historical data, right? All of the systems. And
Yeah.
But it may be clearer on how you, or on what needs to happen,
Yes.
but the how.
Getting it done, because again, we talked about this, you're consolidating entire department into like one concept. Whereas if you're in more of like a Series A company, or you're in that 0 to 100 billion phase, you are building all of those. And so it's kind of like this is a term that our CEO at Qualtrics, when I back early in my career, used to use this term all the time. He'd say, we're changing the engine while the plane's 30,000 feet in the air.
Yeah.
When you're in a super organized and mature company, and you're just now introducing RevOps, you've probably already got 10 people that feel like they are doing what you're organizing. And say, when you try to consolidate it, they're like, well, no, I've already got that taken care of. And you fight a lot of battles versus a newer org where you're kind of, you're the one in playing. And so it's hard with immature org to make change.
this is where they're going to bring those dotted lines. Go to the sales issue. There is a solution with the dotted lines, sir. It's about it for a year. We spoke to consultant. We gave it a box.
Huh.
And this is the structure. All the same, but there is in PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Right.
It is it's a really interesting model to try to get your head around, because I've only ever worked in organizations that have gone through the traditional sales, CS, marketing, ops. Then we smash it all together. Then we create RevOps. But I think, Greg, it was you or Sandy that were saying, starting from the scratch, having a chief revenue officer, consolidating your entire go-to-market under one leader as you grow from 0 to 100 billion and beyond, just saves so much heartache later down the road. I think it creates a better customer experience. It gives you more a smoother growth trajectory rather than trying to have to stop and start and trying to cram all these different teams together, cram all these different processes and systems together, and still have a good customer experience and curate a good customer experience for your internal users as well. I've just never worked in that environment. I would love it. I would love to advocate for that in the future.
Maybe the answer to the larger wars would be through transition.
Right.
You know, you
Change
can just
management.
flip it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe like creating some kind of like center of excellence as like
Yeah.
a third body, like
Right.
separate something that will take us through this transition phase, and we're gonna land in the RevOps.
Right. Because just adding a new head at the top isn't necessarily going to make change.
Yeah, it's got to come top down. The CEO's got to come out and clearly paint that vision. This is what's happening, but more importantly, this is why. It's not because anyone's not doing their job. It's not because things are like inherently broken or we have so much to do. It's that the exponential efficiencies of having one revenue engine
Right.
are what takes company from like, hey, we're $100 million company to hey, we're multi-billion-dollar company because we figured it out and got it all working together.
Right. Taking it to the next level for sure.